I was able to go to Edge of Eternities pre-release this weekend, and I had a blast. It was really, really fun. I was really surprised at how well Magic works in a sci-fi setting, and I just wanted to share with you some thoughts on some cards I played with, and to give advice for new players who are looking to draft this Friday. When you're opening packs, it might be obvious which rares and which bombs there are, but it might be a little bit less obvious which other commons and uncommons are good in this set. So here are some commons and uncommons in each color and colorless that I think would be great for draft. First, we got Wedgelight Rammer. It's 3 and a white for a spacecraft, and when it enters, you make a 2/2 robot. So this thing comes down and it immediately brings something to station itself with. It being a 3/4 flyer with first strike makes it really, really viable in this set. It's just great all around. I never felt uncomfortable casting this. Next, we've got Reroute Systems, which can give something that you control indestructible, or it can deal 2 to target tapped creature. This thing might seem a little underpowered at first, but to give something that you control indestructible is always going to be nice. And that 2 damage to something that's tapped is going to be really, really great for defense. And when something important is stationing your enemy spacecrafts. This thing is super utility. Next, we got Flight Deck Coordinator. It's a 3 mana 3/3, and at your end step, you gain 2 life if you have 2 or more tapped creatures. This thing is sweet because if you're gonna be crewing lots of your spacecrafts, you're gonna end up with multiple tapped creatures, and it's gonna be really easy to activate this, and gaining back some life is gonna be awesome for when you're opening yourself up to attacks. Next, we got Lux Knight Breacher. It's a 4 mana 2/2 that enters with a 1/1 counter for each artifact and or creature you control. Talk about a bomb common. This just comes down and it becomes enormous immediately. If you're going wide with creatures and artifacts, you gotta pick up as many of these as you can see. Run 2, maybe 3 of these in your deck because they're just sweet. They come down and they're just huge. And there's plenty of 1/1 counter synergies in this set. So there's that too. And because creatures don't need haste to station spacecrafts, this thing could come down and cruise something right away. It's great. And last for white, there's Starport Security. This thing is awesome because there's so many 1/1 counter synergies in this set, and just being able to keep something your opponent controls tapped down is gonna be really, really nice. It's like a little repeatable removal spell almost. Next, we got blue commons and uncommons from this set. First, I want to talk about Codecracker Hound. This thing is great because you can have it come in twice, and each time you look at the top 2, put 1 in your hand and 1 in the graveyard. It fixes your hand, and if you need a blocker, you don't have to warp it in. You can just bring it in immediately. But because you can get this effect twice, it's just super valuable. I love this dog. Next is Steel Swarm Operator. It's a 2 mana dude with flying, and it has artifact synergies. You can tap 1 to cast an artifact spell, or tap for 2 to activate artifact abilities. So you get your spacecraft out quicker, and then anytime you have a lander, it can just immediately crack it. This thing has great utility and helps you out on mana a lot. And then late game, when you don't need it anymore, you can chump a spaceship with it. It's awesome. Next, we got Cloud Sculpt Technician. It's 3 mana for a 1/4 flyer, and as long as you control an artifact, it gets +1/+0. So you can almost always count on this being a 2/4 just because there's so many artifacts and artifact tokens to have in this set. And a 2/4 flyer is gonna blank so many things. It's just awesome to have. Anything with evasion is great, and this thing is just a bomb common. There's also Ilvoy Galeblade, a 1/1 for 1 with flash, flying, and it can sack itself to draw a card. This thing is super good. When was the last time you've seen a 1/1 for 1 with 3 abilities? Oh my goodness, this thing is super good in draft. And last, we got Mechanozoa. This thing comes down early and stuns something, and then late game, it'll stun something again, and it's a big 5/5. A 5/5 creature on the ground is huge in this set, and it's just always good. I felt like every time it was used against me, I just totally got blown out. Next, we gotta talk about the black commons and uncommons. The first one is Susurian Dirgecraft. It's a 5 mana spacecraft, and when it enters, each opponent sacrifices a non-token creature. And then once you've stationed it, it becomes a 4/3 flyer. This thing is so awesome. I'm a big fan of edict effects, and because I wasn't running enough token creatures in my limited pool, I felt like this was always a great play against me. Next, we got Monoist Sentry. Talk about deceptively good. 1 mana for a 4/1 defender. This thing stations spacecraft like it's nothing. It comes down, you don't need haste to station stuff, so it can immediately put 4 charge counters on something for 1 mana, and then unless your opponent is attacking with something with first strike, this thing is gonna trade up with so many different things. This is just a nasty uncommon. Personally, I think Virus Beetle makes for a great common. It comes down and each opponent immediately has to discard a card, and then it's an artifact creature, so you immediately turn on all your artifact synergies. This thing is just a total solid aggressive common. Next, we've got Swarm Color, a 4 mana 2/4 flyer, and whenever it becomes tapped, you can sack an artifact and draw a card. This thing is totally solid. Everything with evasion is always going to be useful always, and this thing doesn't just trigger when it attacks, it also triggers when you station your own spacecrafts. So this thing is just solid, it has evasion, it draws you cards, it's always going to be useful. If you ever want to sack your landers but not to get a land, just to draw a card, this thing is so good. And last we got Gravpack Monoist, a 3-mana 2/1 flyer, and when it dies, it replaces itself. This thing is totally solid. It's got evasion, and you can feel comfortable attacking or blocking with it because you're going to have something else to come down when it dies. Next, we got to talk about the red commons and uncommons. The first one that I want to talk about is Weftstalker Ardent. This thing is awesome because I just love Impact Tremors effects. I think they're always useful, and because this thing has Warp, you can have it come down and then cast something else so that it comes in with tempo, and then later on you can cast it again. Impact Tremors effects are just always going to be good. This is great for white decks as well because you're going to have lots and lots of tokens coming in, and because it seems like everything in the set makes robots, it's gonna get triggered a lot. Next up is Caveron Harrier. It's a single red for a 2/1 robot, and when it attacks, you can pay 2 and get another robot until end of turn, tapped and attacking. This thing is so aggressive. If you get this thing on turn 1, you're gonna be coming in for so much damage so early on if they don't have something else to deal with it. I hated playing against this thing, because if I didn't have an answer on turn 2, I just had to tank so much damage. This thing is so good and brutal. Next up is Drill Too Deep. For 2 mana, you can put 5 counters on a spacecraft, or you can destroy target artifact. In a set full of important artifacts and spacecraft, this thing makes for great removal, and then just to be more aggressive with your spacecrafts, it makes for great payoff. I love this so much. Okay, whose bright idea was it to give red a mana dork unconditionally? Zookeeper Mechan is 2 mana for a 1/3 that can tap for red, and you can pay 7 and at sorcerer speed give something +4/+0. And what's nice about this is that it doesn't need to tap to activate its second ability. So if you have 7 lands, you can pump this thing for 4 and then swing in with it. Totally solid. And last we got Rig for War. First Strike makes sense, but when was the last time you saw a red spell that gave reach? Since when does red do defense? +3/+0, First Strike in reach is gonna kill lots of flyers, and it's gonna be super awesome on both offense and defense. Totally solid pick. Now let's talk about some green commons and uncommons. I've already talked before about Larval Scoutlander, but it's still awesome. Landers are going to be everywhere in this set. Sometimes your opponents are even going to give you landers, and just the ability to come down and color fix yourself is going to be awesome, especially when you're talking about cards that matter when you're controlling lands with different names. And towards the end game, it's going to be great as a 3/3 flyer to come in for some damage as well. Now, if you're playing white, you've got to pick up this card. Meltstrider Eulogist is gonna bring you so much value. Anytime a creature you control with a 1/1 counter on it dies, you draw a card. Any green card that gives you more cards is gonna be awesome. This thing is a totally solid uncommon. This one almost flew under my radar, but Hemosymbic Might is really good. If you have a way of pumping this thing, it can station your vehicles and pump your other creatures at the same time. And for 1 mana, it's a totally solid common. If you're trying to be low to the ground and aggressive, it's gonna pump your small stuff. And if you're playing long game and stationing your spacecrafts, this thing is gonna be totally solid. It goes in a wide range of strategies. Great pickup. First up at common, we got Sky Stinger. A 3 mana 3/3 with reach would have already been great, but because it gets +5/+0, it's gonna do a great job blocking spacecrafts late game. I had such a headache trying to get through this thing with my flyers. It's so annoying. You should definitely play this. Here's another one that's deceptively good, Gene Pollinator. What's nice about this thing is that it color fixes you, but also it doesn't matter what other permanent you control that taps to help it tap for color. So if you're tapping something that doesn't ordinarily tap, like one of your landers or an enchantment, then you're essentially tapping it for mana for free. It's great. It's always useful, and I was so jealous that I didn't get one in pre-release. Last up is maybe my favorite common in green, is a Diplomatic Relations. Oh my goodness. One-sided fight is always good, especially when it buffs your own creature. And because it gives it vigilance, you can come in with a flyer, and then post-combat main phase, you can station your own vehicles. It's totally solid. I ran all of the ones that I picked up. Also important to note, there is some errata with this card. You can only target your own creature to have it deal damage to target creature an opponent controls. It's not a second Rack with Madness effect, otherwise that would have been even more busted. Lastly, we gotta talk about the colorless commons and uncommons. Thaubaton Torpedo was totally solid. For a single mana artifact, you can pay 6, tap it, and sack it to destroy target non-land permanent, but if you attack with a spacecraft, you only have to pay 3 for it. This thing was totally solid and got me out of so many jams. I even hardcast it multiple times for our pre-release. Trust me, you're gonna hit 6 mana pretty easily with all these landers going around. This thing is just totally great and can go in any color. Next up is Nutrient Block. It's a food that replaces itself, but it also has indestructible. So there's some wombo combos in this set if you have some way to ensoul it. Anytime you see an indestructible non-creature artifact, you should always be on the lookout for ways to make it become a creature. It's always hilarious. Last but not least, we got Chrome Companion. For 2 mana, you get a 2/1. Whenever it taps, you gain a life, and you can pay 2 and tap it to put something from a graveyard on the bottom of its owner's library. This thing is totally solid for crewing vehicles. Gaining back some life whenever you crew something is gonna be solid. I was never unhappy to draw this thing because I was running like 4 different stations. Definitely a decent pickup if you've got nothing else. Plus, just look how cute he is. I love corgis. So that was a quick rundown of all the commons and uncommons that I could think of in each color. Just remember to pick up plenty of bombs, removal, and creatures with evasion, and you're gonna do just fine. Drafting is tricky and it takes a lot of practice to get good at it, but as long as you try your best and try to make principled decisions, you're gonna do fine. And just remember, it is possible to make no mistakes and still lose. That's not a weakness. That's life.